Well, good morning. Thank you so much for attending this Biz Ed presentation entitled Creating a Bike-Friendly Workplace. My name is Molly North. I'm the Interim Bicycle Coordinator for the City of Fort Collins. We have three panelists here. This is Kim Sharp from the Healthier Communities Coalition, and we've worked together to co-create the Bicycle Ambassador Program, which Kim will talk more about. This is Kurt Freiberg from Woodward Governor. He'll be talking a little bit more about the bike-friendly business application, among other things. And at the end is John Geller, and he actually works at the FC Vet Emergency Hospital, which is one of our bike-friendly businesses in town. And he also has a business called Business by Bike. So they'll all be talking in just a couple minutes, but I want to give you an introduction to FC Bikes, what it is that we do, and some of the resources that we make available for all of you. There are a lot of different elements to our program. We break them down into the 5 E's. So we have education and encouragement, which go together in a lot of cases. Engineering, which is any physical infrastructure. So it's signing and striping on the road. It's bike parking. It's any bike facility, really. Then we have enforcement, which is a collaboration with both CSU PD and our police services for the city, as well as the sheriff, to have a comprehensive and consistent message across the board for all of our enforcement. And then the last E is evaluation. So we do a lot of planning for biking in our city, and then we do also do a lot of evaluation of all the other 4 E's about how is our education and encouragement affecting the numbers of cyclists on the road, or the numbers of crashes between cyclists and pedestrians, or cyclists and motorists. How are our numbers on the bike trails? How are our numbers at certain intersections, etc. So we evaluate all of our programming in order to make sure that we're continually improving our programming for both city employees and for the greater community. So a few of the resources that we provide are, one is the bike map. We update this about every 18 months to 2 years, and it has all of our bike routes, our bike lanes, and it also has our bike box. It has all of our bike trails. We actually call them multi-use trails. We encourage all kinds of users to use those trails. We have horses, rollerbladers, pedestrians, runners. And we update this often so that you can see where the proposed trails are. So if you're trying to start route planning to get from your maybe your home to your workplace, or if you want to replace some of your shorter trips, like to the grocery store or to run errands, that you can use this as a pretty comprehensive tool to determine the best way for you to get to your destination. It's also online, and our next iteration of the bike map will actually be interactive. So you'll be able to put in a destination, and probably using a Google map tool will give you the best bike route to get to your destination. And it'll have all of those layers on there, so you know if you're on a route or a lane, so you know how to prepare for your route. This one is put out actually by CDOT. It's called the Colorado Bicycling Manual, and it's a really comprehensive, everything we do is comprehensive. I've said that like 6 times. It's a really great resource that tells you what are the traffic laws in Colorado for cyclists, and it has a lot of really great information about, you know, how to put your bike on a bus, which is important for some commuters if it helps you, you know, extend your bike commute a little bit. If you do half of it on a bus and then you ride the rest of the way, which we're hoping will happen a lot with the new MAX bus rapid transit that's going in. It also talks about bicycle fit, crashes, how to avoid crashes, hand signals, all kinds of things. So this is a really great resource that CDOT also regularly updates so that we have relevant information for cyclists here. And the thing about traffic law for cyclists is that it's also important for motorists to understand it, because when we're sharing the road, you know, whether it is for a short trip when we're riding our kids to school, or if it's to go to the grocery store, or if we have, I don't know, a 13-mile commute to work, Russ, then it's important for all users of the road to understand what the laws are so that we can share the road safely and courteously. Because this is such a large resource, and probably folks aren't going to keep this in their pocket or their bike bag, we also created this quick guide to traffic laws. And curiously, it has been one of our most popular publications in 7 years. It has all of the traffic laws for cyclists, and it has the associated fines, which probably is the attractive part about it, because if you can afford to run a stop sign on the way to work, which we can't. None of us can afford it, mostly for safety. And then the last resource, well, we have many resources, but the last one for now is called Ride Magazine. This is an annual publication that FC Bikes puts out every spring. And it usually picks a theme. This year, our theme is competitive cycling, because as most of you know, the USA Pro Cycling Challenge, which is an international race, it'll be broadcast in 175 countries. It'll bring millions of dollars to Colorado through tourism. This isn't a sales pitch, but it's a really, really big deal. It's coming to Fort Collins in August. And so we chose competitive cycling as our theme this year. But as you go through the magazine, we have, every year we have one story about competitive cycling. We have one story about riding with a family. We have one story about if you're a new cyclist. So I think we've had like the ABC Quick Check was one of them, which is a basic maintenance story. We've had How to Commute was last year's story. This year the story was How to Pick a Bike. Actually, Kurt was our author for that one. And we always have a story about the bike library, etc. So we have some common themes, but it's really a nice publication that gives you a comprehensive, there it is again, look at what our community is doing in cycling. Well, I'm going to pass it over to the panelists, and they each are going to talk to you for about 10 minutes about their area of expertise. And then I'm going to talk specifically, some of you had questions about doing a summer worksite challenge or a summer kind of incentive program. So after these three go, I'll talk really quickly about the program that FC Bikes hosts and encourage you to be a part of that, or how can we collaborate to make your challenge more effective or get you into our incentive pool. And then we'll have a little bit of time at the end for question and answer. Okay. All right, we'll start with Kim Sharp from Healthier. Oh, no, we're going to start with Kurt Freiberg from Woodward Governor.
Yes, good morning. We just thought I would start first because I'll give you a general overview of the BikeFriendly business program, and then these guys will give you some kind of rich detail on certain segments of that. So I think it'll work best that way. As Molly said, I'm Kurt Freiberg from Woodward, but not Woodward Governor. We're Woodward Inc. now. We dropped the governor, I don't know, 2 years ago. So like lots of you, we got our start in the bike community by being a Bike to Work Day sponsor. That was kind of our starter drug. But right about the time that we did our first station completely on our own, which is actually in Loveland, our Loveland plant, we kind of got a tap on the shoulder that you guys should try being a bike-friendly business. We had a personal friend of mine that was a friend of a guy who we used to work for the city and then went to work for the organization that does this program. And they said, oh, you guys would be a shoo-in, no problem. So so we said, okay, we had the basics, so we thought we'd start that application. And that's kind of, I'm going to be sharing that with you a little bit. But it's a great thing if you're already a bike station sponsor. That's a great launching point. So I just wanted to add that as encouragement. So first of all, we need some basic definition. First of all, so what is a bike-friendly business? It's not kind of a self-titled thing, and you just do a few things. I suppose you would be bike-friendly if you helped out. But this is actually a national program run by the League of American Bicyclists. They're an organization out of Washington, D.C. And it's a program to recognize businesses who promote bike commuting by their employees. It's part of the BikeFriendly America program. Molly's probably told you, other people probably told you that the city of Fort Collins is looking to upgrade. We're already a gold level, and we're looking to be platinum because we're better than Boulder. That's right. Yeah, Boulder's platinum, yes. And we have a bike-friendly university here too. Colorado State's a bike-friendly university. So bike-friendly business is a parallel program to that. one of the first things people will ask is like, well, we only have 2 employees, right? We can't be a bike-friendly business. Doesn't matter. Really doesn't matter. You can be a really small business. I think there are businesses on there that are well, there's definitely, even in Fort Collins, we have a two employee business in there. Or you can have, obviously you can have 10,000, 500,000 employees. It doesn't really matter what size you are. When you make the application, it's broken down into 4 E's. The city has 5. Maybe the university has 5 too. I don't know. But as a business, you only have 4. And those 4 are engineering, education, encouragement, and evaluation. And I'm going to talk about those in detail in a minute. The E that we're missing, anybody figure that out yet? No? Yeah, enforcement. Hopefully you don't have to have a police force at your workplace. We kind of do, but it's not critical to be a bike-friendly business. The application process, physically, you do it 2 times a year. It's due right after Bike to Work Day in the summer. So I think it's late June, early July is the first time in the year you can apply. You can put your application in, or that's the first deadline. And then there's another one in January. If you miss that one, or if you want to upgrade, you can do it in January too. The grades are at 4 levels. Like we kind of mentioned with the city program. The highest is a platinum level. The next level is gold, silver, bronze, and then honorable mention. Shouldn't be too discouraged with honorable mention, because both Kim and I, our businesses are only honorable mention. It's not a bad thing. And then if you get one of the actual awards, like bronze, silver, gold, platinum, you get the award presented to you at Interbike, which is the big, most of you know, it's the big trade show in Vegas every year. So you get big recognition out of that. And also, it's free. There's no cost to doing the application. It's sponsor funded. I think like some of the big bike businesses like Trek are big sponsors of a bike-friendly business program. So you don't have to worry about going to your manager and or your senior executives and asking for money, which is another good thing. So I'm going to talk a little bit about each of the 4 E's and give some examples of what they're looking for on the application, and this will give you some ideas of kind of what to work on. For the first one, for encouragement, that's actually, it's like more than 1/3 of the application. It's a pretty big deal. The examples that they use, their questions they ask are whether you facilitate tax benefits for commuters. That's I've got to look into that more even for our business, but that is available, and they want to encourage that. Cash incentives of some kind, or in-kind incentives, like if you do free breakfasts or something like that. For achieving certain goals, that's a great way to encourage cycling. Free secure bike parking is a big element of that. Bike to Work Day promotion. You know, we do a fantastic job here in Fort Collins of Bike to Work Day. It's easy to get on that bandwagon and participate, and that's a key element in LAB's eyes too. Reimbursements for bikes or discounts on bikes. That's another question they ask. Having a bike fleet at your workplace. That's a huge thing. I know some of this sounds really difficult, but there are lots of businesses that are doing these things. Clubs or rides, whether you have a club at work, like I don't know, HP has a lunch ride. Woodward has sort of an informal club. That's a great thing. Charity ride promotion, whether you know, even just the simple putting up posters and encouraging people to do MS Ride or one of those, that's a great thing. Advocacy group partnerships. Any of the local or state or national advocacy groups would qualify there. And then finally, management involvement. It's a tough one for me personally at our business. Is basically try to get your CEO on a bike. So, like I say, encouragement is a big thing. The next one is engineering. And you'll see some of these things cross over, because the first one in engineering is parking. What they like to see is covered, secure, or it'd be great if you had indoor parking or a bike locker. Those are really fantastic things. For the parking itself, they ask if you meet APBP guidelines, and don't ask me what that stands for. There's bike and pedestrian in there somewhere. So they're actually that's their group that actually publishes guidelines for the bike racks, and what's the best way to design a bike rack. Showers and lockers. That's a fantastic thing for commuters. So you don't have to use like little diaper wipes to clean yourself off after you get to work. Repair stations. That'd be another great thing, especially for new commuters. To have a place to fix a flat or lube your chain or do some basic repairs is great. If you can sort of have a point person at your place of business to help with that, that could help people figure out how to repair things or maybe even do the repair themselves, that's even better. Also, whether your business is accessible by trail or bike lane, that's another huge positive, and that's an easy thing to do here in Fort Collins. The third E is education. Again, this is another thing that's really easy to facilitate here. Obviously, you would want to have classes, some kind, lunch and learn type things on either skills or maintenance or both. Mentorship programs for people who are really new to bike commuting. Probably a lot of you do that informally anyway, but to formalize that is a fantastic thing. Safe routes, similar to like we have safe routes to school coordinator. If you can help people pick a safe route to work, probably that new interactive program will really help there. And publicity, that would be on your website and other public things that do, say, bragging about that you are a bike-friendly business and tell you, basically, really to your employees that you're a bike-friendly business, so encourage them. And then the fourth E is evaluation. Probably the key element there is to have a named bike coordinator. If you're applying for the application, that's probably easy. It's probably the same person. In our case, it's not. Tracking participation, again, Fort Collins facilitates this really well. We have the Bike to Work Challenge. That would be an easy way for you to track participation. But if you really want to go for platinum or gold, you probably want to do even more than that. And then goal setting along with that to try to improve every year. So those are the key elements in the 4 E's. Just to give you a little background on the Woodward experience, like I said, we had a kind of a personal connection to LAB. So the comment we got was, oh, Woodward should be a shoe-in. You have like all the basics, right? You have a bike coordinator, you have showers, you have parking. So with great enthusiasm, right, like literally like the day after Bike to Work Day a couple years ago, I got online, I filled out the form, and thought, oh man, this is so easy. We're going to get like gold. And we didn't. We didn't hear for a long time. It was probably like six weeks or so that before we heard back, at least. And we got a very detailed response. So it kind of shocked me that they spent more time evaluating our application than we did doing it in the first place. But it's a fantastic thing. I don't want to make it sound too negative. They give you a lot of tips and pointers and places you can work on, and where where you compare to other bike-friendly businesses, so that you can set your goals for next year. So we immediately, I wouldn't say immediately, but next few months we developed our own response plan, and we're kind of implementing that over a period of a couple years, so that we can go for gold or platinum and not just be honorable mention. What else? So, kind of in summary, we would just love you to join us. There's 11 businesses on the list right now of bike-friendly businesses in Fort Collins or Loveland. And one of the things that I would really like to do is get a group together of bike-friendly businesses so we can kind of share ideas, best practices, and work with Molly, work with Kim on just making ourselves a fantastic bike-friendly business community. Molly gave us a challenge at last year's kickoff for Bike to Work Day to have 200 businesses, and originally that was pretty shocking, especially since I was just about to get the microphone after that. But it's really entirely possible. That's not impossible at all. There's some really big communities probably have 30, 40 businesses in there, but we have so many people participating in Bike to Work Day. There's got to be more than 200, I would think. So to get 200 bike-friendly businesses signed up, it's a realistic goal, and we would just blow away the rest of the country, and that's what we all want. And I'm willing to help do that. I'm still learning, and like I say, we'd love to kind of learn together. We have sort of made a few fits and starts to get a committee formed under the Bike and Pedestrian Education Coalition, and I'd like to get that going again, and we have some other ideas for how to sort of get the word out. But come talk to me if you're interested at all. I have a couple flyers over there. We have a flyer from LAB on the Bike Friendly America program, so you can read about that. And then I also just printed up a quick flyer with my name and email on it so that you can contact me after this event. Thank you very much.
Good morning. I'm John Geller from Fort Collins Veterinary Emergency and Rehabilitation Hospital. And we are a small company, 30 employees, but just have a built-in bike culture where pretty much the first question we ask everybody when we see them in the morning or at night, depending when your shift starts, is, did you ride your bike today? And the worse the weather, the more exciting that question is. And we do have people coming and going at all times because they're 24/7. So, riding a bike for a graveyard shift in December is a little more challenging maybe than riding it in the morning when the sun's up and it's a little bit warmer. We do host Bike to Work Day because we're close to the Poudre River Trail, and we participate in Bike to Work challenges. But really, the built-in incentive for our employees, again, is that question is kind of a badge of honor. Did you ride your bike to work? And just the motivation to do it creates a fairly high participation. I did want to branch off a little bit and talk about, to me, the components that I think maybe are overlooked somewhat, and then I'm going to sidetrack into the other a business venture that I'm involved with. But I think a business, in addition to encouraging their employees to ride their bike, certainly should incentivize their customers to ride their bikes. And so there might be different ways to do that depending on the nature of the business. Certainly, a discount or a gift card would be a simple way to do that, just to encourage people to ride their bikes, when they're out doing errands, etc. And the third way, it would be for a business to use bikes in the course of business, and that's the challenging one. Now, at our hospital, for example, every animal that comes in is injured or needs rehabilitation. And so asking customers to ride their bike with their pet doesn't happen. But occasionally we'll see someone riding around town with their dog and their bike. So it's not that practical for us, but I certainly see where it would be practical for other businesses to encourage that. We're not a mobile business, so we don't use bikes in the course of our business, but I can tell you there are veterinarians that do house calls, and they use bikes to do it. So in terms of using bikes, and to me this is really expanding the idea of a bike-friendly business, using bikes in the course of business. I don't know how many businesses are doing that, but my partner and I have seen, and I'll give you the classic example that we're working on right now. At any point in time, you'll see people driving around 3,500-pound vehicles delivering a 2-pound pizza. And that's probably a really good example of inefficiency at its worst. And so our company is called Business by Bike, and we're exploring ways for businesses to use bikes effectively in the course of their business. So effectively doesn't mean you're pedaling 5 miles an hour across town. That's usually wouldn't be effective. So as part of our business model, our sub company is called Pizza by Bike, and we're developing pizza delivery bikes that we're hoping we can get local pizza companies to use it to deliver pizza, for example. So that's an example of one use. This is a bike that has it doesn't have a trailer. It's all built in. It has a big pizza box on the front. We got the frame from New York City, where they build industrial bikes. They're called truck bikes. And to make it, again, to make it effective and cost effective, we've done an electric assist on the bike. So yes, you pedal it, but you get enough oomph out of the electric assist to get an additional 3 to 5 miles an hour more. So now you're going 15 to 20. You can deliver pizza within 3 miles in 10 minutes. Parking's not an issue. You're off the street. Traffic's not an issue. And if you're a pizza delivery guy, you're not spending most of your paycheck on insurance and gas and wear and tear in your car. So that's, again, a good example. And there are other examples I'll briefly mention. The third component, in addition to developing bikes specifically for different applications, like pizza delivery, and providing electric assist to make them cost effective, excuse me, is we're even taking the operating cost down to zero we've developed a single panel solar charging station that businesses would put in. So when the bike's not being used, it's plugged into this grid charging system. And the city of Fort Collins has actually approved a small panel charging system. So it's a single panel, like 3 foot by 4 foot, enough to charge one of these bikes up, no problem. And so now your operating costs is zero once you make the original investment. In addition to delivering, these bikes are 2-wheel models and 3-wheel models. I mentioned they either have a box or a bed built into them. The projects we're looking at is delivering, and we've used it for all of these things, delivering pizza, delivering groceries, delivering prescriptions, just being a courier bike, and the courier bikes that we have are go quickly. They're over 20 miles an hour, which I know is right on the edge of where you're supposed to be. And then we're developing 3-wheel bikes for delivering newspapers, delivering mail, even for the U.S. Postal Service, delivering light construction supplies, and delivering office supplies, things like that. And those are bikes that are 3 wheels that have a small bed. So anyway, I've sidetracked on to applications for use by businesses, but to me that's where I think we've got employees biking to work. I think that's happening, and I think businesses are accommodating it, but I'm hoping that businesses will start looking at ways that they can actually expand the use of the bikes into their business and be more effective and efficient and more profitable at the same time.
And I will expand on ways that you can bring more education to your employees as well as encouragement. So as Molly said, I'm Kim Sharp, and my big title is the Director of Healthier Communities Coalition. And in that role, I wear many hats or helmets on a daily basis. And one thing I do is bring people together around an issue that needs a coordinated response. And in the fall of 2009, I was asked to do that in response to some very serious bike versus motor vehicle crashes that we had in our community. A couple of those were lethal. And we wanted to bring together all of the groups that have anything to do with bicycling in the community so that we could all begin to work together and partner when it made sense, and to share the responsibility of educating our whole community, both bicyclists and motorists, on how to share the roads safely and what the rules of the roads are. We added pedestrian in there because we decided it was a good idea to also jointly go after some safe routes to school funding. So in order to do that, we added pedestrianism to our work, and we established the Bicycle and Pedestrian Education Coalition, which is known as BPEC. The bicycle side of BPEC is now the Bicycle Ambassador Program. And as Molly mentioned, we work together over a long period of time to research best practices in bicycle ambassador programs. We also looked at the city's Master Naturalist program and other very grounded volunteer programs. So we did our research and developed the Bike Ambassador program. It is still a work in progress. We are refining it, but I wanted to talk to you a little bit about that. So the Bike Ambassador program has 5 spokes, and these rack cards are also over on the table, so you are more than welcome, and I encourage you to take some with you. But the 5 spokes deal with the different populations that we want to reach out to. The first being children, youth, and families. And we do that through the Safe Routes to School program. We also do that through the Safe Kids Larimer County program, which works to educate children about the use of bicycle helmets. And we also offer bike skill rodeos at various events throughout the community so that little kids can learn how to safely ride their bikes. We reach out to, I'm going to come around kind of the backward way of the wheel here. We reach out to college students by working with the Campus Bike Advisory Committee. And as you might imagine, most of our crashes in our community deal with the population of kids from about 18 to 24 years old. And a lot of our crash sites are around the campus area. So we are working with the city of Fort Collins on some engineering and infrastructure. The bike box over on Plum and Shields is one of those to help minimize the physical reasons and the infrastructure reasons why those crashes happen, but also to educate that age group. And our bicycle ambassadors can volunteer to be on patrol when they're out riding. And they incentivize people to do good things, and they reward them when they see them doing good things on their bikes. And they also use teachable moments to perhaps share some information that people may not want to hear about. And that's where these quick guides to all the bike laws come in really handy. And I'm a bike ambassador and was able to have a teachable moment not very long ago when I was riding to work on the Mason Trail. Somebody blew through a light at, I think it was Drake and the trail, and I was able to catch up with them and say, hey, I would so hate for you to get a ticket. Do you know how much that would cost? And I said, can I share this with you? And as we're pedaling along, I was able to get in my messenger bag and hand her one of those. And she said, yeah, I know, but I'm in a hurry. I'm like, well, you'd be slowed down even more if you got busted for running a light. So anyway, teachable moments like that. And we train all of our bike ambassadors with 12 hours of training. All of them have to go through the Traffic Skills 101 course, which is a League of American Bicyclists course it's an 8-day course, and it goes through all the bike skills, traffic laws, how to do basic maintenance on a bike, things like that. We also take our bike ambassadors through a non-confrontational communication training, which is a 2-hour course. And then we also go through our basic presentation training and teach them just the nuts and bolts of the program and where to get their equipment and the gear that they need to go out and do some presentations, which I'm going to get to here in a moment. So anyway, back to the patrol. So that would be the third spoke. Our patrol ambassadors also offer roadside assistance. If they see somebody broke down, or maybe they need a Band-Aid, a little kid fell off his bike or whatever. So it's just kind of a courteous thing to do. We also have ambassadors who open their garages to their neighbors once a month for 2 hours to have an open garage session where they can provide basic bike maintenance or perhaps route finding, maybe how to choose a bike. I mean, any of that kind of information, our bike ambassadors are equipped to share that with their neighbors. And also know that if they choose to do that, they are background checked. And so we've got this whole process set up so that not just anybody can open their garage to neighbor kids and whatnot. So we won't go down that road. So then there's the adult education that we do, and this is where the businesses come into play. We offer 1-hour lunch and learn presentations where we can come to your business, provide a presentation that will go over all the basics that you might want to, information that you might want to give your employees. Again, how to choose a bike, what to ride, what to wear, what to carry, basic rules of the road, how to share the lane, how to be a vehicular cyclist. And then we will also go into why you would want to ride and perhaps walk more for health reasons, for environmental reasons, for economic reasons. So it's a really well packaged presentation. And if you would like it more tailored to winter commuting or commuting in general, we can do that as well. So, like I said, and I'm going to use that C word, this is a very comprehensive program. We've tried to think of all the components that will make it good, but we are always revising it and making it better. And we're also looking for more people to be bike ambassadors. And again, that would require that 12 hours of training. Some of you may have already taken the TS 101, so we wouldn't make you take that again, but we would have you go through the other 4 hours of training. And it's just a fun way to get connected to the community, perhaps in more ways than you already are, and to share that good bike education with your friends and neighbors and coworkers. So that's what I have.
All right, thank you very much to our panelists. Just to summarize, so Kurt talked a little bit about the BikeFriendly America program and specifically the BikeFriendly Business program and offered himself as a resource, so please take advantage of that. He's been through the application once. He has at least one set of feedback from the league. And you know, so there's kind of two important parts of that feedback. One is that it gives you some really specific ideas about what to implement in your business. And two, it helps you to, you know, when I was just filling out the BikeFriendly community application, that feedback from our last application was kind of some good reminders of things to include in our application. Because you might not think about, before this conversation, you might not have thought about having lockers or having showers as being a benefit for cyclists. But you know, if you have someone like Kurt to walk through the application with you, you might draw that connection and include more engineering or education or encouragement than you currently consider bike-friendly effort. And John had a really great point that, you know, a lot of our focus can be on employees and how do we get employees to bike to work and how do we encourage that kind of activity. But he brings up a great point that we also need to consider how to do business on bike and with less cars. Whether it's biking or walking or busing or carpooling, but using less gas to get around. So that's a great point. And Kim, we obviously work together a lot because we both like the word comprehensive. But you know, she's given you kind of a good idea about the Bike Ambassador program and how both you can use it as a tool to bring in volunteers to your business, to your workplace, to encourage your coworkers to be a part of the cycling community. But it's also an opportunity for you to incorporate into like your wellness plan. So if you want to encourage your coworkers or your employees to get involved with community service, or you know, there's a lot of different ways this could incorporate into your business plan to encourage more biking with your coworkers and your employees. And then the last thing I want to talk about is the Worksite Challenge. I promised a little bit of information about that, and I'll be brief because we've done this a couple times, and some of you might already be familiar. I know some of you have participated. But basically, it's a 4-month challenge. We do it once in the summer and once in the winter. The summer challenge this year will be from May through September. That's 5 months. It's going to be 5 months this year. And basically the challenge is that you'd have a point person at your work site, and they would record how many people bike and how many miles they bike, and submit that information once a week to the FC Bikes office. And then we keep kind of a running tally, and we'll send out between every 2 to 3 weeks, we'll send out a PDF that has a graph so that you can see, and we only compare you to businesses of a similar size. We have 4 or 5 different size categories. So we'll compare you to businesses of a similar size, and we'll show you a graph of where you compare to the other businesses. So we're inciting a little bit of competition, right? Because people tend to gravitate toward that, and it's kind of a fun way to encourage more people to get on their bikes. And then at the end of the challenge, at the end of the 5-month period, we will offer incentives to the winners of the challenge. So the first place winner in every category will have the choice between a bike or a bike rack. So this is, something that Kurt was talking about with the engineering at your business. This is a way to start a bike fleet for your employees to use to go to lunch or to go to meetings, or maybe to bike home and then bike back to work the next day, to try out biking. If they don't have access to a bike, it's a nice way to create that access. And then if you already have a pretty good population of people who are biking, the bike rack might be a really great idea, because that's a significant investment for a small business. But if we can help provide that for you and get more people to use their bikes to come to work, we like to do that. And then the second place winner in all of the categories will get a kind of a tool chest, whole bunch of bike tools and a bike pump, and we'll set you up to help people stay on their bikes now that they've started. So this program has been really successful. We've had a lot of really great anecdotes about, I always thought I wanted to bike to work, and then this challenge gave me the opportunity to just commit to it on Wednesday. And then the next Wednesday came, and I thought, well, I could do that one more time. And so people start to do it, and it starts to become part of their regular pattern. It starts to become part of their behavior. And then some people have even gone to 2 days a week or 3 days a week or even 5 days a week during certain months or throughout the year. So it's been a really great program for, Bike to Work Day. We love Bike to Work Day in Fort Collins. It's kind of becoming a local holiday, right? Like, people don't go to work until 11. And then they leave at 3 to go to the afternoon stations, so we get like a couple good hours of work that day. We're really proud of that, because we want to celebrate someone if they choose to ride their bike that one day of the year. And we don't want, the competition is fun, but we don't want biking to be exclusive. If you choose to bike that one day of the year, we're going to celebrate the heck out of you. And if you choose to bike every day of the year and you happen to be out that day, we're also going to celebrate the heck out of you. So, we want it to be something that's always inclusive and always fun, because biking should be fun. And choosing the healthy lifestyle should be really fun and easy for people to be a part of. My bias is towards bikes, because that's my program. But I just also want to mention that our FC Moves department, we have transportation planners, the FC Bikes program, and our Safe Routes to School program that Kim alluded to. And this year we'll also be launching an FC Walks program. And I just want to throw that out there, because I think it's really important that employers also think about how to incorporate walking into their wellness programs, into their incentive programs. It's a little bit more nebulous about how to incentivize walking than it is to incentivize biking. It's a little bit easier to track that biking activity, but just so you know, we'll start to incorporate a little bit more encouragement and education about why to walk and how to walk. I think we're all pretty good there. But just, that's coming. And so we're trying to really grow this program and encourage people to just make healthy lifestyles, whether it's 1 day a week, 1 day a year, 5 days a week, 7 days a week. If we can encourage one person to take one healthy step, then we've done our job. So thank you all for being here and for learning about how you can encourage coworkers and employees and employers, how to encourage that as well. And I just also wanted to mention the Worksite Challenge that FC Bikes is hosting is that whole 5-month period. But if your business doesn't have, for any reason, can't participate for 5 months, we will also try to find another way to incentivize any activity. So if you decide to do just track activity on Bike to Work Day, which is June 26th this year, we'd like to encourage that and help you find a way to make that a really successful 1-day challenge. So we can talk after this a little bit. If that 5-month challenge seems a little bit too much to take on, we can talk about some other challenges and programs, and I can try to help create some incentives for your coworkers. Okay, so we have lots of experts here in the room. You are all experts also. You have a lot of really great, I know most of you, and you have really great programs that you've implemented in your businesses. So I just want for about 20 minutes, we're going to do a Q&A, and this can be conversational. You know, if you have a question and our experts have some input, maybe someone else in the room wants to share their experience too. So
I work with the libraries, and one big challenge for us that I want to mention specifically about the work site challenge that they were talking about is the majority of our employees are part-time workers. So a lot of these challenges, which we do participate in and we think they're great, we don't have employees who come on Wednesdays, but they do bike, you know? And so one of a frustration for me particularly is that it's hard sometimes to get that encouragement part when people don't get counted for things that they're doing. I have a worker last summer who biked or walked to work every single day because he only lives a mile away, and he was awesome, but he never had a shift on Wednesday, so it never got to count. So that's something that I would like to kind of hear more about. Is there a way that that can be incorporated more? Because it does go back to that encouragement of, well, yeah, I'm doing all this work, but you know, at least for the Fort Collins work site, we found a way to make it count for our own personal thing, but it didn't help us get any more participants on Wednesdays because they weren't going to come in on their day off, you know, and it wouldn't have counted anyways because they weren't technically working that day. So that's kind of something that I was wondering if there are any ideas about changes we could potentially do with that.
So the first time we launched this program was last summer, and we launched it as the Bike to Work Wednesday Worksite Challenge. And so it had that word Wednesday in there. And when we launched again in the winter, we launched it as the Bike to Work Worksite Challenge. We took out the word Wednesday, and then we allowed work sites to choose the day that they wanted to count. I understand, especially like with the FC Vet Emergency Hospital and some other businesses, there isn't one day that everyone works, right? And maybe that's what you're alluding to, is that we could choose Thursday, but there's still going to be someone that doesn't work on Thursday. So yeah, we're willing to work with individual businesses and say, you know, John's day is Thursday and Mary's day is Tuesday, but we're only going to count them on those days throughout the challenge.
So I just want to add that that's the city's program, right? So if you track it yourself beyond what the city's providing, the competition that the city has, that would be a huge positive for the bike-friendly business application. So that means you're motivated to do something on your own. You're being creative. The best businesses are going above and beyond, right? So New Belgium is one of the bike-friendly business gods in this country, right? They're platinum, and that's because they do a huge amount of stuff. They just do so many things that are well beyond anything that I listed, right? So that's what they're looking for, that kind of thing too. So yeah, above and beyond is always great.
And one last thought: the way that we've tracked the participation for the city's challenge is through Smart Trips. And the website is smarttrips.com, and one of the challenges, one of the limitations is that every employee has to create another username and password, right? But the benefit is that, and I should have had one slide today, this would be the one slide I could have today, it would be really effective, Smart Trips is our local MPO, or Metropolitan Planning Organization, uses Smart Trips as a tool to track commuter behaviors. And the spike that they saw in participation during our challenge was enormous. And the more information and data that we have locally that can support, our commuter rates or the CO2 saved or calories burned, all these things help us get funding for health benefits or economic benefits or congestion mitigation. There's a lot of different ways to use the data. So I'm trying to figure out a way to make it less of a barrier for people to use Smart Trips, but whether you're doing it on your own as a business or if you're part of our challenge, I would really encourage you all to use smarttrips.org because it's pretty simple interface. It's pretty easy for folks to use, and it's really, really important for us to collect that comprehensive data.
So I have a question in general about incentives and how those work. I know that there's some you can provide $200 as an incentive a year, and the IRS says, yes, we're happy to do that. But equipment or bikes or anything like that, are there some practical considerations about that actually can become income for the employee and they got to pay taxes on it? Just wondering if anybody's done that and what they found as the limits, practical limits.
So I can speak from the experience of being an employee of a large company. So while I'm the director of Healthier Communities Coalition, that's umbrellaed underneath the University of Colorado Health System. And up until this new year, we were able to receive like a $10 gift card at the end of every month if we rode our bike or walked or used some other kind of alternate transportation 3 times a week or more. So, and that was totally an internal program that the health system set up, and it was totally on the honor system. For me, that program was housed out of the department that I work in, so they would totally know if I weren't being honest because they can see my bike parked outside every day. So it could be very simple like that. A company could come up with its own incentive program, set it up how you want, how it's going to work for your particular employees. And then, we had the choice of like a downtown business association gift card, or I think Walmart was a gift card, and curiously, Schrader Oil was a gift card that you could choose, and I thought that was a really curious prize for using alternative transportation. But so, from my experience as an employee, it was a perk for me, but it certainly didn't make or break whether or not I rode. But it was nice to get the DBA card, and I would pile them up and use them in a big pile somewhere.
I actually want to agree with you. I think that's one of the bigger challenges that Woodward has incentivizing. We've only gone as far as having like free breakfast for people. We pass out free breakfast cards, but in a way, I was hoping you could tell us, because you outrank us as a bike-friendly business. But more seriously, that's kind of why I wanted to get the best practices group going, is so that we could come up with ideas like that. If you look at New Belgium's model and what they do, they have the bike, the free bike for an employee of a year and stuff like that. And of course, they have other reasons for doing that, but and their model may not work for everybody. So that's where I really want to get a whole group together and start sharing what works best for a 2-employee business, what works best for a 5,000 employee business.
I wanted to bring this up. I believe I read just this past week that the IRS, you can no longer get that benefit. I think that's one of the things that the feds cut. So I don't believe that program is, I don't believe that's in existence anymore. I think it got cut.
The silver lining is that it wasn't a very effective program for many businesses. So if they have to cut something. No, I think that benefit had really good intention, but it was really expensive for employers. So if you're a really small business or a nonprofit with a really narrow margin, it was too expensive of a program. And if you were a really large business like the City of Fort Collins or CSU, it was also a really hard program, because if everyone participated, it was such a massive investment. It's about up to $240 per employee per year. So, the only size that I think it really could work for is that middle-size employer. But there's challenges for everybody. That's a pretty significant cost. So that's why I think Kurt's got a great idea to do the best practices group that allows people to talk about, we do a quarter per mile, or we do, at the end of the month, if you biked 3 days per week, you get a $10 gift card. Or, it sounds like some groups just subsist on the culture and creating that culture of, did you bike today? Oh my gosh, it was snowing, it was so beautiful. And you're really hardcore. So I think that best practices is a great idea for creating incentive programs that work for any size business or for your size business, or creative ideas.
I just add to the gift card idea, because gift cards do fall under the tax exempt rule if they're, I think, $25 or less. But if you really, from a business owner's point of view, if you also offer in addition, or instead would be, a contribution to whatever nonprofit of your choice for X number of dollars, for X number of miles driven. It's kind of a win-win-win thing, because it becomes a deduction and an incentive at the same time. And so we do some of that, and people like to see the whole list of groups that people support, because it's so diverse.
So the things that we have done is that we provide safety equipment. So we provide lights and gloves, and we also provide a tune-up if they've using the bike. So we're trying to figure out ways to help, because it's using the bike. I suppose we're probably in that gray area that it's a benefit to the person to get a $75 tune-up, but trying to do things that are helping them have the bike that's ready and safe, and also they're not having to outlay cash to use it. So those are the kind of things we're trying to do.
One of the incentive programs I heard about in Boulder is a company has a basket of bills, dollar bills, and if somebody rides in, they can take a dollar bill. Very informal, but I guess it works for the size of that company. I have a question about why does Fort Collins do our Bike to Work Day in June instead of May like the rest of the nation?
So Fort Collins follows the Colorado Bike Month, and Colorado does it in June as opposed to May because of weather. But, I don't know, Alaska does it in May, so I don't know. We've talked a little bit with CDOT about aligning with the rest of the country and doing it in May, but it's, we're unique in a lot of ways, so I kind of like it.
I just would love to hear who the 11 bike-friendly businesses are.
Yes, I'll read them off in order. Our sole platinum level bike-friendly business I already mentioned is New Belgium. We have 2 gold level employers, and that is City of Fort Collins themselves. So we're not only a bike-friendly city, we're a bike-friendly business. And REI, which is relatively new. They became gold right away. Silver level, another new one is Big Shot Bikes and Otterbox. And then at bronze level, we have Enviro-Friendly Lawn Care, who I think they are the 2 employee one. So they actually do the lawn care on a bike. And Fort Collins Veterinary Emergency Hospital, Front Range Internet, and In Situ. They're bronze level. And the 2 honorable mentions are sitting up here, Poudre Valley Hospital and Woodward.
I get the opportunity to speak to a lot of businesses in town through my position at Utilities, and I heard you say people had identified you as sort of a shoo-in, and it sounded like it was because you had showers and a path, maybe leading toward Woodward. As I'm out talking to businesses, what would you say are the top 2 or 3 attributes that would really make me think this would be a really great bike-friendly workplace?
Yeah, that's great. And it's tough for me to narrow it down because, again, we thought, oh, yeah, we got that covered. And we really didn't. But the top ones, you really do have to cover the basics. And I think that's the first thing you should mention. So a bike coordinator. Showers, I have a little bit of a tough time with. This is one thing. One of the reasons I want to get a group together is so that we can have conversations with LAB, with their Bike Friendly America coordinator, because some of it doesn't quite make sense to me. There's a lot of bike shops on there, tons of bike shops, and I'm sure not all those bike shops have showers. So, but I still think great bike parking. If you have showers, a bike coordinator. I think the bike coordinator is the most important thing.
I would just add, and then Matt's going to add, that one of the other, there are certain elements that make someone maybe more eligible for a higher ranking, but I think any business you talk to, if they take some time to fill out the application, they'll have benefit in both learning what makes them bike friendly, and just going through the application you learn a lot, and then the feedback you get is just totally invaluable. So no matter where they might fall in the ranking, I think it's important that you encourage anybody to do it, because I think there's benefit, and like Kurt said, it's free. So Matt just looked up the IRS tax benefit, and it is still in the books for 2013. So if any of your businesses are interested, we've Kurt and Kim and I can probably all talk to you about that benefit if that is an interesting incentive for you all. So Dee's going to come up and give a quick presentation about Ridekick and what they're doing.
Thanks. So we are a local company. We make a motorized trailer that attaches to any bicycle and propels the bike. And like John was talking about, the idea of an electric assist is becoming more common in the United States. It's very common in Europe and of course in China, because it is a lower cost, more efficient way to get around. So we have a program called Dollars for Demos, and as a local company, and these are manufactured in Fort Collins, as a local company, we felt like we could go to our bike-friendly city to help bring awareness of this new concept. There's nothing like it in the world. Our patent is for a two-wheeled motorized trailer. And so we want to build awareness locally. We're not saying everybody needs to go buy one of our product, but we want you to know about it, so like you know about OtterBox, right? So, so we offer a program called Dollars for Demos, and that's what I was going to be doing today, where for every person who takes a test ride, 30 seconds, we will give $1 to a recognized, identified nonprofit. If you want us to come to your business place over the noon hour, at the beginning of the day, end of the day, whatever, we will come out with a couple of different Ridekick trailers and bike configurations and give your employees test rides, and it's our $1, your free ride on the bike. Our $1 goes to the food bank, and we will be offering this program through the 17th of May. But one of the things that's interesting about the Ridekick trailer, as I said, it's a motorized trailer, but there's plenty of room inside for groceries, a backpack, a laptop, whatever. And you know, it'll travel up to 19 miles per hour for a range of 10 miles. So for most people, that is within an easy commute range. It is, the battery can be removed and taken into the workplace to charge. It's designed with a carrying handle and all of that. So we've tried to make it be very user-friendly, commuter-friendly in that regard. We have heard so many times from people that they want a way to carry their children. Well, I can't commute to work because I have to drop my kids off at daycare or school or whatever. So we have designed and are in a prototype phase of a child trailer that's motorized so that people can use a bike more often as a mode of transportation, even to get to work with family members. This, like I said, is in prototype phase. We are collecting consumer input about what would make that be something that you would use or that you think a feature we should include. So it's a unique opportunity for Fort Collins citizens to give input to a product that is, in fact, these are worldwide. We do have a dealer in Australia, and we've sent to 10 different countries to direct buyers. So anyway, we are Fort Collins proud and Colorado proud to be able to make this product here. It was invented in Fort Collins, designed and manufactured in Fort Collins. So please have us out to your workplace to offer test rides to your peeps.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming today. Thank you to ClimateWise for sponsoring. And we hope to see you out there on the bike.